for today. You're going to get a notification right now that this presentation is going to be recorded, so make sure you just hit that okay. So before we get started, if you guys can introduce yourselves by writing your name and the school of attendance, just to know who everyone is here today. You will have an opportunity to ask brief questions at the end of the presentation, so just hold off any questions that you have, or if so, just write them in the chat and then we'll address them later on. We are going to be sharing a link to a Google folder because we do have such great material, right? We want to make sure that you're able to access this even after we're done with our presentation today. We are going to have an opportunity drawing for ETS participants at the end of the presentation. So again, make sure that you're writing your name and your school of attendance in the chat box. That is where we're going to get our list for our opportunity drawing. If you do have any further questions about anything that we talk about today, please make sure to reach out to your ETS advisor. Again, we do have good information today. It could be a lot, but if there's anything that you just feel like you maybe want extra assistance on or just clarity, make sure that you reach out to your ETS advisor. So we're going to give it maybe another minute just to make sure that more folks, if they're joining on, have the opportunity to do so. But then we'll get started. Okay, and then once again, make sure that your mic is also muted so that way we can limit any background noise as well. So we'll just get started in just a few minutes. Perfect. So yes, if you're just signing in, welcome. Please make sure that you write your name and your school of attendance in the chat box. And again, if you have any questions, please be sure to just hold those off until the end of the presentation, or you could just write them in the chat and we'll just address them later on. So actually, I think we do have a good amount of participants right now, so we're just gonna get started. Okay, so hi everybody, welcome. If you're new to ETS, welcome. Today we're going to talk about our college planning presentation specifically for 9th and 10th graders. So our focus for today will really be what you should be doing as 9th and 10th graders to prepare for college and really make the most of your high school experience. So I just want to take a moment to introduce the presenters for today. So I'll be one of the presenters. My name is Diana Lazo. I am one of the program specialists for ETS.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sienna Bush. I am the South Bay Program Specialist for ETS and was previously an advisor at Dominguez High School.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Garcia, and I'm also another program specialist for the Compton and Long Beach side.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Noemi, and I'm one of the college advisor mentors at Linwood High School.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cecilia. I'm the advisor for Narbonne High School.
Okay, so those are our panelists for today. Again, if you have any questions, please make sure that you write them in the chat, and then you'll probably see some of the ETS staff answering your questions as well. But for today, I kind of want to go over the agenda so everyone kind of knows what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to do a quick A through G review, post-secondary or your college options. Again, some of the stuff you might have heard through your academic advising sessions, but we want to make sure that every student understands these, as well as the high school timeline. And we're going to go over specifically what you should be doing in your 9th and your 10th grade years. Also, we'll talk about some extracurricular activities, including some virtual extracurricular opportunities, especially because, you know, a lot of us are still working and studying remotely. Also, just some time management tips, because we know that you guys have a lot on your plate, right? And also just wrapping it up with just some general ETS services. Again, some of you might be new to the program, so we want to make sure you understand what we here at ETS are here to help you with, and just some upcoming events as well. We will go over quickly the ETS application if in case there's any students here who are not a part of ETS but would like to join. And then towards the end, we're going to share that Google folder with all the resources of pretty much everything that we've covered here today, as well as that opportunity drawing. So let's actually get started.
Okay, so you may or may not be familiar with these, but these are the A through G requirements. These are for the UCs and the CSUs. So pretty much it's a sequence of high school courses that students must take, and you have to get a C or higher in order to actually pass and be have the minimal eligibility for admissions into the UC system or the CSU system. So what that means is that you have to take 2 years of history, 4 years of English. For math, 3 years is required, but 4 is recommended. And make sure that you take Algebra 1 and Geometry, or Algebra 1 and 2 in Geometry. For science, you do have to take 2 years for science, 3 is recommended. So biology, chemistry, and physics, and or physics. And then for the language, so you can either take like the load test, or you can take 2 years of some type of language other than English. So that could be like Spanish, French, whatever your school offers. 2 years are required, but 3 are recommended. And you have to take the same language. So you can't switch from like Spanish to French. You have to do like the full years of one language. For visual and performing arts, you do need 1 year, and then for college prep electives, that's 1 year. So that could be, that can either be additional courses that you took that are included in the other A through Gs, or it could be something like college prep elective that your school might have particularly for your school. Something to note with these is that the universities do count the grades for your A through G, or your university GPA from the summer after your ninth grade all the way until the end of your 11th grade year. So just know that when looking at your A through Gs, those are the courses that they count. We also encourage you all to take like AP classes, take college classes. So I know some of your schools have like dual enrollment, so you can do that, and you would talk to either your ETS advisor or your counselor about that. And then if you feel like maybe you're not as confident in one of your classes, maybe you need extra support in that class, that's okay. So just make sure that you get help. Like, please make sure that you get help. It's okay to ask for help. Like, don't feel embarrassed. I had to go to like tutoring for, I think it was Algebra 1, and it helped me a lot. So if you do need to ask like your teacher to stay after, if you need to go and get some tutoring resources, or if you have to ask your ETS advisor for online materials or resources or tools that they might have, don't be afraid to do that.
Okay, so now that we reviewed somewhat the A through G requirements, we're going to briefly go over the college options. I know for a lot of you who are already in ETS, more or less, probably your ETS advisor has already talked to you about this, but we are briefly going to go over it again. So to start off, like I mentioned, there are 4 different types of college options. I'll be discussing first the University of California or UC system, and then I'll be moving forward to the California State University system that is also referred as the CSU system. So to start off, the UC system, we have 10 different campuses all over California. So you can find these campuses from Southern California, Northern California, Central California. However, only 9 of these campuses are open to undergraduate students, which undergraduate students would be any of you who are eventually planning on graduating high school and possibly pursuing a post-secondary education. The only exception is UC San Francisco, as this is the only UC that's actually only open for graduate students and for professional certificates. So that's a school that you would not be able to apply to just yet. So some of the admission requirements for UCs is that you have to have a minimum GPA of 3.0. However, this does not mean that by having a 3.0, you're automatically admitted into the school. There are other factors that the UC system does consider in terms of admitting a student to their university. So one of those other requirements are A through G requirements, which Sienna just explained right now. Those E through G requirements, you have to pass those classes with a C or higher. So if by any chance you did get a D in any of those classes, you do have to possibly do credit recovery in an effort to get a C or higher grade. So those, again, those A through G requirements are those sequence of courses that include English, math, etc. Another requirement would be the personal insight questions. One way to look at this is basically thinking about it as a personal statement. So personal insight questions, you will be asked to pick out from 8 different questions, and you can choose whichever 4 you're more comfortable responding to. So the questions vary between asking maybe about your creative side, your leadership experiences. There's a lot of other questions that you can answer maybe about your academic experiences as well. And you're able to reflect back and talk about what you've done in high school and how does this make you different or unique when you're applying to a UC system school. So some of the degrees offered at the UC level or at the UC campuses are bachelor's degrees. which is what most of you, again, if you are applying as an undergrad, you would be getting your bachelor's degree. And then they also offer master's degrees, doctoral degrees, and other professional programs. So you can find all of these programs at a UC school. The average cost of tuition is basically the amount of classes. So the cost for classes. So the average amount would be roughly 13,000. But with this number, I know it probably sounds a bit big, but you have to take into consideration that there is a lot of financial aid out there to help you cover these costs. So like I said, tuition costs can be covered through financial aid, and you can be eligible for multiple grants and even possible scholarships. So by completing FAFSA, which is an application that if you continue to be in ETS until senior year, we are going to help you with that. You will be considered for other financial aid assistance. So this is very important when you're applying to college, because although the cost may seem overwhelming, there is a lot of financial aid out there to help you pay for school. The UCs are also known for their theory and research-based teaching. So this basically means that they're more on that research side of things. So if you're maybe interested in the STEM field with anything that has to do with science, technology, engineering, mathematics, these schools are usually more open with those majors. It doesn't mean that you can't pursue any other major, but they're more research focused in that aspect. And then just moving quickly to the California State University system, there are 23 campuses in the CSU system. And again, similar to the UCs, they're found all over California. So you can find campuses in Southern California, Central, and Northern California. And you can pick and choose wherever you want to go. The admission requirements for the CSU system is a 2.0 minimum GPA. And again, this does not mean that by having a 2.0 GPA, you're automatically admitted. There are still other factors to be considered. There are some schools who have increased their GPA requirement to 2.5 or even higher, depending on the school. So this varies depending on the school you're applying to. The more competitive the school or the more impacted the school, there's a higher chance that they already increased the GPA requirement. And similar to the UCs, you also do have to complete your A3G requirements with the C or higher, and you must meet specific campus eligibility index. If you want to know more in depth, like the eligibility index for each school, we're always here to help you. You can contact your ETS advisor, but the index basically now considers a GPA for maybe your math courses and for your English courses, in addition to your overall GPA during high school. But again, it varies depending on the CSU that you will be applying to. And pretty similar to the UCs, the degrees offered at the Cal State levels are as well bachelor's, master's, doctoral degrees, and also teaching credentials. So if you're interested in maybe becoming a teacher, this is a great option for you as well. And the cost is slightly more less expensive. So it averages from $6,000 to $9,000 for tuition. And again, there's a lot of financial aid assistance out there to help you pay for these costs. And the CSU system is also known for providing hands-on experiences so that students can apply the knowledge gained to find solutions in the real world. So again, if you're interested maybe in like the social science career, Cal States are usually very based on that, and you can find various other majors in this system as well.
Alrighty, so now we're going to talk about private universities and California community colleges. So first off, private universities can be found all around the nation, so not just in California. You know, and compared to the previous two that we went over, the UCs and the Cal States, these are part of a system that basically have the same requirements. But for privates, you know, there are more than 1,000 campuses, but they each have their own set of admission requirements. So if you are interested in private schools, you need to make sure that you do individual research on those, because for one, their minimum GPA may vary. Their subject or A through G course requirements also may vary. Some may require additional personal statements or short responses. And then they also possibly may ask for letters of recommendations from teachers, counselors, coaches, and things like that. So again, make sure that you are looking for their individual requirements. And private schools also offer 2 and 4 year degrees, like the bachelor's that we talked about. And some may even offer graduate and professional degrees as well. So those include like master's, PhDs. And in terms of tuition, again, they are going to vary, but they can go as low as $7,000 or as high as $56,000 per year. However, don't let those numbers scare you, because privates also have a lot of money because they're not funded by the state. They're funded on their own, and they have the ability to offer larger scholarships for you to attend. And one of the main reasons why students may go for private universities is because for the most part, they're very smaller campuses that allow for more one-on-one attention with professors. And some students may really want that for their college experience. And now for community colleges, there are 115 campuses in California. And again, their admissions requirements are a little bit more straightforward. All you would need to do is to be 18 years or older and have earned your high school diploma or a GED certificate. And there are no subject requirements like the A-G requirements like the other campuses. So as for the degrees offered, you can earn an associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree. You can also work towards a vocational certificate or license, or also apply for a transferable degree, which would then allow you to transfer to a 4-year college like the UCs or the CSUs. And as you can see, community colleges are much cheaper options, right? $46 per unit. And more importantly, sometimes they even have free tuition, especially here in California. So community colleges are great options if you're looking to transfer, to save some money, and also just get into your careers much faster through different certificates that you can get through the community college.
So some of you might be like, okay, schools in California are cool, but I'm trying to get out of state. So there are a couple options for you. The first one that we're going to talk about is historically Black colleges and universities. So there are more than 107 HBCUs in the South, East Coast, and the Midwest of the US. So there's not that many in like California. The admission requirements do vary, but most of the GPAs have to be like a 2.0 or higher. Just similar to like the private schools, you do will possibly need a personal statement or letters of recommendation. So just keep that in mind. And then the degrees offered are also similar. So they have 2 and 4-year degrees, as well as graduate and professional degrees. The cost does vary depending on what school you want to go to, and this is for tuition. So it can range from $6,000 to $35,000. It just depends on what school, what area you're in. So just make sure to consider that when trying to pick one. And then these schools are known for providing like more support to their students, not only while they're in college, but even afterwards. So after they graduate, I know a lot of my friends who go to HBCUs, they come out with like internships, they start like their own business. Sometimes they have like mentorship programs. So that's something that HBCUs are really known for. Out of state schools, there's over 5,000 in the US, so that's outside of California. The admission requirements, some of them do have residency requirements. So that just means that for like some schools, they might want you to be a resident of that state for maybe a year before you attend the school. Every school is different, but just make sure that you're aware of those residency requirements. The GPA does vary, and sometimes the GPA might have to be a little bit higher for students that are out-of-state students. So also be aware of that. And then once again, you might have to have like a possible personal statement or letters of rec. The degrees offered are pretty similar to the other systems. So 2-year, 4-year graduate and professional degrees, but the cost it has a wider range. So the cost can be from like 15,000 to almost 70,000. So I looked up a few schools, and that is just tuition only for some schools. It just depends. I think like Columbia was close to like that $70,000 number, but like we said before, don't let that really scare you, because there are like scholarships, grants out there for you. A lot of the private schools, they do, like she said, have like their own money. So just because you see like this huge number, don't be like intimidated by that. And once again, there are like residency rules by state and it varies based on the institution. So just make sure that you're looking at that as well. These schools are known or, kind of help students get out of their comfort zone because they are moving away from home. So I know that my friends who have been in like other states, they come back like very confident, kind of with like a whole new view on like their college experience and just being away from home. So if you're looking for that or that's something that you want, then out of state might be a good pick for you.
Okay, so now we've gone over our college options, right? But now we want to kind of transition into what you should be focusing on while in high school. So, we're going to go over the high school timeline. So starting off with ninth grade, you want to get to know your school counselors. They're going to be your biggest resource while in high school, and they can help you with things such as academic advisement, choosing your classes, and providing support with any challenges that you face while in high school. You also want to make sure that you keep up your grades, right? I know sometimes there's misinformation floating around that, your freshman grades don't really matter as much, but for the vast majority of colleges, they really do. So your GPA, your class rank, and your high school transcripts will help colleges better understand your strengths and abilities. So, you want to start off strong. The next point is getting involved in your school or community. So you want to join teams, clubs, and participate in community service. You can meet new people, represent your school proudly, donate your time and energy to charities that are, important to you. So your grades and your GPA do matter, but that's only part of who you are as a student. So you want to make sure that you're involved in something. You can explore colleges and take career assessments. So it's never really too early to start looking at what colleges you might be interested in attending or taking assessment as far as like what careers and majors might be a good fit for you. So I would encourage you all to speak with your ETS advisors so that they may help you look into colleges and take these assessments. So kind of moving on now to 10th grade, you want to take honors and AP courses. So by 10th grade, you should increase your academic rigor and consider taking either one or two honors or AP classes. Usually colleges and universities will want to see that you're challenging yourself, but remember the idea is to challenge yourself, not break yourself, right? So don't take any honors and AP classes just to take them. Do it to the classes that or the subjects that really interest you and that you feel like you can balance within your schedule. So these classes will really greatly influence your college GPA. And then you want to make sure that you continue your school and community involvement. So you'll want to continue the same progress of staying involved in your extracurriculars, or maybe even branch off and explore new ones if your interests change. So we'll discuss later in the presentation some virtual extracurricular opportunities a little bit more in detail. You also want to explore colleges and again, take those career assessments so you can continue to explore different colleges and look into various career major opportunities. You might find that your interests can change within a year, and that's okay. So maybe the results that you got in a career assessment in ninth grade, let's say you were interested in social work, now says that you might be better suited for another field in 10th grade. Maybe now your fit is more for a teacher. And again, that's totally fine. And you can kind of explore more of those careers and majors with your ETS advisor. You also wanted to, so also the other point on here is taking the PSAT. So the PSAT might be offered at your schools if and when we return to in-school instruction in the fall. However, there are many changes that are currently happening with college testing. So just, keep that in mind. So you want to take the PSAT if you have the ability to do so, since it can give you a sense of how the SAT is structured and it looks like, and, kind of where you stand in compared to other sophomores nationwide. You also want to get involved in summer programs. So there's a lot of opportunities to pursue your interests, right? You can explore new ones and even learn skills, and that's sometimes through summer programs themselves. So some programs are held on college campuses, but they're certainly quite, it really depends because, it depends on each summer program and the fact that there's a lot of current COVID guidelines. So maybe some of those summer programs are offered virtually. Right. So we will actually share some summer program opportunities later in the presentation, but it's specifically through our program ETS. And then the last point for this grade is the dual enrollment. So I know Jocelyn and Sienna, you guys were previously talking about this, but students can save on college costs by earning dual enrollment credits in high school, meaning that you're taking college courses while you're in high school. So high school students who complete dual enrollment classes generally take fewer classes in college. These students are more likely to attend and graduate college, so you should definitely consider enrolling in dual enrollment either in your sophomore or your junior year. So now kind of transitioning as to a junior standing or 11th grade, the first point that I have here is AP exams. So as you're continuing to take honors or AP classes, your AP exams will be a good focus this year, as you want to make sure that you're studying for these exams. passing your AP courses can help you earn college credit early, which means that you can either bypass those courses, you won't need to take them because you already have that credit, and as well as just saving tuition. If you're already kind of caught up with your college classes, maybe you don't need to attend college as long compared to other students who don't have those courses. So it's just, again, kind of getting ahead. And then the SAT and the ACT. So you've probably heard about these tests before, right? They should sound a little familiar to you, but these are college entrance exams that students in the past were required to take if they wanted to apply to four-year universities that Sienna previously mentioned. We aren't sure whether these exams will still be required in the future years, but for the class of 2021, so the seniors this year, were not required to take these tests, and instead they were made optional for admissions requirements. So some students still decided to take these tests even though they were optional because it could help with placement into the either English or math classes, and sometimes the scholarships that they were applying to required those SAT or ACT scores. They're currently, these are kind of the most current updates that we know at the moment. But with COVID guidelines and testing kind of constantly changing, we'll let students know if those tests are being offered in the future and what kind of dates are available. The next point is, again, getting involved in summer programs. So the summer before your senior year is really important because most colleges will want to see what you are doing to prepare for your senior year. And really, this is going to be the last chance that you can become involved so that you can then talk about that or reflect that into your college applications. So if you didn't get a chance to be involved in the summer after your sophomore year, this is your last opportunity to do so. And then the next point is begin application essays. So we're actually having a junior workshop for our ETS students next week where we're going to talk about how they can prepare for their senior year. One of the things that we talk about is beginning to brainstorm for the college application essays, specifically the personal insight questions that Jocelyn mentioned, right? So these questions are in the application and they ask things about like describe your leadership experience or how did you overcome an educational barrier? So these questions are really an important part of your UC application. That way you want to make sure that you get started working on these early rather than just rushing to do these in the application. And us as advisors and specialists, we've seen how students kind of cram these. So we want to make sure that you are able to kind of reflect and write. And of course, we're going to provide assistance through that. And then the last point for this one is, or second to last, is creating the college list. So by this time, you should have a fairly good sense of your GPA, your test scores, and which schools are within your reach. You can start doing virtual college tours to schools you're really considering, and that way you can kind of weigh your options. This doesn't necessarily have to be a concrete list, but it will help your ETS advisor in your senior year. That way you can kind of refine and see what it is that you want to do. Then dual enrollment, again, same thing that I mentioned for 10th grade. You want to consider taking some college courses through your local community college. It's free and it can definitely boost that college GPA, so it's definitely worth considering. And so now, we've made it to 12th grade, right? So this is where all that work that you've done in high school will show. And this is where we actually finally start to apply for those colleges. So again, finalizing that college list. So when you meet with your ETS advisor in the fall, you'll want to go over the deadlines, see what you're going to need to apply, all those kinds of requirements, right? If you created a list back in your junior year, it's going to be so much easier because then you can just refine or add any schools that maybe you've thought about over the summer. Retake the SAT or ACT. Now remember that as of now, those are optional tests, right, for most four-year universities. However, if you want to take the test again, you have the option to do so in the fall in case you want to get a higher score or maybe there weren't any dates available. For college applications in the fall, this is usually when we help students with the UCs and the CSU applications. Sometimes we do help out with the private schools, but really, it just like Noemi said, it depends on the deadline. So we will go over the deadlines once you guys are all pretty much juniors and seniors, but know that during this time, you're going to be busy doing these applications. So you're going to be having to meet with your ETS advisors a lot. I would see my students at least twice or three times a week just to make sure that everything is going on. Everything is okay in their applications, but also that somebody is reviewing these before you submit. Then we'll do FAFSA. So you want to submit FAFSA, right? We'll cover more in detail later on what financial aid is, but know that there is an application to apply for financial aid, which we refer to as FAFSA. And FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. After you submit your college apps, then that's when we will help you submit your FAFSA as well, since you need both of these to make sure you consider what are going to be your college options. And then after that, usually we encourage students to apply to scholarships. I mean, it's never too early to apply for scholarships, right? But we really want to focus on this during your senior year when many scholarship opportunities are announced, right? Through either your college counselors or your high schools, we release monthly scholarship opportunities. So make sure to reach out to your ETS advisor to gain access to those. Keep striving in your classes. I know sometimes students might think, well, I already applied to the colleges, so I can kind of relax a bit, right? But this is a common mistake that a lot of our seniors make. When you get accepted to a school, that's provisional, meaning that you are accepted to the university provided you pass your classes and you meet all those requirements. So make sure you pass your classes with a C or better. And then really our last point is choosing your college of acceptance. So, in the springtime, which is kind of where our students or our seniors are at right now, seniors will start to hear back from the schools they're accepted to and then make a decision about what school they'll be attending in the fall. So your ETS advisor can kind of help you weigh the different college admission factors so that you're able to attend a college that's the best fit for you. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information, right? But ETS really gives this information to students so many times throughout the year and every year that you're with us. So by the time that you're a senior, you kind of understand a little bit of like where you are in this timeline. So let's have Naomi kind of explain a little bit more in detail what you should be doing within your 9th and your 10th grade year.
Alrighty, so how many 9th graders do we have here today? If you can do a little reaction or write in the chat, just so I have an idea of who I'm talking to. 9th graders, where are you? Okay, I see a couple raised hands. We just had one? I see a couple from Linwood, so I know we do have some freshmen here. So this slide is for you. Okay, I'm talking to the 9th graders right now, and we're gonna give you a little, to-do list of what to do this year or what you should have been doing this year if you haven't already. So first things first, you should have already met with your advisor for academic advising. Once during the fall and another during the springtime. And this is just a chance for your advisor to get to know your interests and your goals and what it is you need from ETS, as well as going over your plan and progress with your A through G requirements so far. So again, this is once every semester. Number 2, take some time to explore your interests, your majors and careers with your advisor. If you let your advisors know about your interests, they could definitely help you with researching and finding more about those careers and majors and what those requirements are. Number 3, make sure you start to explore your college options. And this could be, through an online search, it could be through virtual field trips, and hopefully in the future, we'll have some in-person field trips as well. Number 4, very important, is to create a professional email. So not your school email, not the one that ends with your school district. And this is because your school email will expire after you graduate. So we really want to make sure that you set up your own professional email early on, especially as you are creating those accounts. Connected to that, you want to start your My ETS sheet. And this is a handout that we as advisors keep for you to save those passwords, to save those emails, those usernames that you're creating, and so that you don't forget them, because there could be a lot of accounts, and it's very easy to forget those. So that's one way to kind of keep track of those. Number 6, you want to learn how to become competitive rather than just eligible. So, this goes into considering enrolling in those honors or AP classes when you are registering for your 10th grade classes, because these classes can really not only, boost up your GPA, but colleges like seeing that you are challenging yourself with these more advanced classes. Number 7, we really want to encourage you to join and participate in extracurricular activities. And it's good to start as early as 9th grade, just so that you can, start exploring activities that you actually enjoy. And that we're actually going to go into more depth about this a little bit later on. Number 8, take advantage of tutoring resources if needed. For freshmen, it's super important, to learn where to find these resources, either at your school with your teachers, or with ETS. We do offer some studying and tutoring services. So that's something that you could look out for so that you can keep up with your classes and your grades. Number 9 talks about learning about financial aid and beginning to apply to scholarships. So, it's never too early to start learning about financial aid and the different types that there are. So start exploring to what are grants, what are scholarships, what are loans, what's work study, So as a freshman, you really want to start exploring what those mean with your advisor, and even start looking into potential scholarships that you can apply for so that, you can start saving up that money for when you need it later on. So we definitely encourage you to do that. And then number 10 is just to get familiar with the new school, its expectations and just opportunities that they may offer, especially because it is a new school for you and you want to just get acclimated to the new environment and the school culture. So these are just some of our recommendations for freshmen. So now we're going to go into the sophomore list. So I'm guessing there are also a couple of sophomores here. I've seen some ETS ones from Linwood as well. Very similar, one, we also want you to meet with your advisors twice a year to discuss, those A through G requirements and keep exploring what your interests are, which goes into the second one. Keep exploring, keep learning about what your likes are, what you see yourself doing in the future, because, as you get closer to senior year, you're going to have to know these things. Number 3, you want to review your college options. So especially as you keep learning about what you're looking for in a college, it's important to keep those college options updated. And if we have a list, you could either add to that list or get rid of some colleges. So it just depends on your interest. Number 4, you want to keep updating that My ETS sheet to keep track of all of those passwords you are creating. 5, the same way, learn how to become competitive. So enrolling in those honors and AP classes. And actually, I'm going to jump into number 7 because it kind of relates. So number 7, again, those finding those dual enrollment classes to enroll in. And these are the college classes that you can enroll in while you're in high school, and start earning those credits for both high school and college. And guess what? They're free. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool way to get those credits that you're already going to have to pay for in college anyway. So we always recommend dual enrollment. Going back to number 6, you want to join and participate in extracurriculars just like you would in 9th grade. But we recommend that you might want to consider some leadership positions, right? One, colleges love seeing when students take on leadership positions like captain, secretary, things like that. And 2, those are just some necessary skills, to have for the future. So we definitely recommend that you start looking and be on the lookout for those leadership positions that you could possibly run in those clubs or organizations. So we already went through 7. So number 8, we really want you to start researching potential volunteer and internship opportunities. And these are just to gain, experience, either by giving back to your community, but also just getting involved in the professional world as well. So as advisors, we could definitely help you with looking into those volunteer and internship opportunities, some in person and some virtual as well. Number 9, similar, continue learning about financial aid and continue possibly applying to scholarships, because there are scholarships available for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, not just seniors, okay? And then last but not least, and very important, is to really, really stay motivated during your 10th grade. Because remember that colleges will actually start calculating your GPA starting in 10th grade. So the grades that you get in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade are going to count towards that GPA requirements that a lot of the schools will be looking for when you are applying to those schools. So definitely make sure that you are, keeping that GPA where you want it to be. And that's it for 10th grade.
Okay, so you've heard a few of us talk about extracurricular activities, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about why they're so important, especially getting involved now as 9th and 10th graders. So the first reason is professional and personal development. So when it's time for you to start applying to colleges, depending on what college you're going to apply to, a lot of colleges will start looking for how well-rounded of a student you are. So they don't want to just see how well you did in your academics, but how, like what other things you did outside of school. So this is where extracurriculars come in. So this can also help you explore your interests. So if you're interested in the medical field, maybe you start volunteering around there, or maybe you're interested in working with students, then you start volunteering tutoring. So it can help you just like explore what your interests are, and you can get a better idea of what career or major is right for you. Secondly, you can also expand your network. So you'll meet new friends and new mentors through whatever extracurriculars you get involved in. So meeting new friends through clubs or meeting new mentors in the community. And these are good for you when it's maybe time to ask for like a letter of recommendation. So just expanding the people you know and who can help you in your career is always a good thing. And then also you'll gain experience. So this is also something you can put on your resume and or your brag sheet. So a lot of students in high school maybe don't have the opportunity to work, but they have a lot of time to volunteer or participate in extracurriculars. And these are all great things you can put on your resume if you don't have any work experience too. And adding these also on your brag sheet can help anyone who you're asking for a letter of recommendation from get a better idea of what else you do outside of class and how you're involved in the community, and they can write a better letter of recommendation for you. And lastly, you can make an impact. So it's if you're interested in a particular cause, like maybe you're interested in the environment or you're interested in mental health, this is a good way to help give back to your community and get more involved into those interests and causes that you're passionate about. And so remember, colleges love to see leadership and commitment in your extracurricular involvement. So it's good to start now as a 9th and 10th grader. And so you can continue to be involved in those same extracurriculars throughout your high school career. And so maybe you join or you start a club in like your 9th or 10th grade year. And by the time you're a junior or a senior, you can think about running for a leadership position in that club because they like to see that you're stepping up your responsibilities. So here are some examples of COVID-safe extracurricular activities, and these are all virtual for the most part. And as things start opening up, and if you feel comfortable getting involved, then you can also consider other opportunities, but here are some virtual ones. So you can join or start a club, you can tutor online, you can start learning a new instrument, you can run a blog or social media, you can create art projects, host a virtual book club. A lot of sports haven't been able to meet, so you can start doing like solo sports like running and weightlifting, or you can do like virtual workouts with your sports teams. Also, taking care of family members is also an activity that a lot of students do, and that's really important. Also, translating or learning a new language, volunteering online, starting a small business, learning a new skill like coding or car repair, cooking and baking. And we're going to be sharing a handout in the Google folder with specific websites and resources you can use to volunteer online.
Okay, so we know that is, a lot of information, and some of you, might already be involved in extracurriculars, you're taking your honors courses, you are helping around the house, and you're also just making sure that studying is your priority, right? So we want to come up with just some time management tips to really make sure you guys are able to get these habits early on, because in college, you are going to be a little bit more independent, and you want to make sure that you do have these good time management skills. So the first one is getting organized. So you want to start finding ways to keep yourself organized organized, whether that mean like getting a physical planner, right, and writing down all of your assignments and when things are due, or using organization apps like your Google Calendar or your reminder app on your phone. I know for me, like I have so many Zoom meetings, so what I end up doing is I'll just copy the link and paste it onto my Google Calendar. That way I'm not searching through all these emails, right, to find those links. So just little hacks like that, right? Or really just getting whiteboards and calendars, putting it in your room or in your little study space that you have, whatever works for you so that you know when things are due and you can kind of plan accordingly. The second one that we have is establishing routines. So you want to establish routines that can help you accomplish the things that you need to do. The more often that you stick to these routines, the more that you'll accomplish within that time frame. So I know one of my routines that I do is waking up early so that I have enough time to actually eat, because for me, I can't a day without eating breakfast, so I have to make sure that I plan time for that. And really just sometimes I'll just take maybe 10 minutes before I start my work shift, I'll write the things that I need to do, whatever kind of helps for you to kind of get into that routine of like, okay, you know, I've started my day and then now I need to focus on what I need to do. The third point that we have is finding and creating your study spaces within your environment. So I know a lot of us are working, studying from home, right? We've had to kind of learn how to make our own home environment as a place for us to also be productive. So designate a space as your study spot so that your brain knows that when you're here, you should be productive and working. So maybe your bed is not the best place to study. Right? You want to make sure that you have some space like for yourself. But if you do have total control over the space, so adjust it to your liking. I know that for me on my desk, I have like candles or essential oils, because for me, smelling things like really helps me kind of focus, especially when I put like eucalyptus or stuff like that. So, you know, that's just like one of my things that I do. And then I usually have like water because it keeps myself hydrated. Sometimes I have snacks because I don't want to be getting up and out from my study space. So again, just kind of taking that moment to grab the things that I need to have in order for me to be productive. So maybe add like a calendar, or have like a playlist playing, because again, I know sometimes background music helps. I know for me it does. So again, just really find the things that help you stay focused and kind of take that moment to set up your space, even if it's just like a corner in your room or in your living room, because again, I know a lot of us are limited in our space, right? And then another point is learning to prioritize tasks. So you might find yourself having to split your time between school, extracurriculars, family, friends, and other things as you start to get busy. You need to consider how to schedule in time so that you have balance and still get done what you need to. Sometimes that means like skipping out on spending time with the family or friends because you have an assignment due maybe that Monday. So that means on the weekend, you can't go out and see or hang out with your friends. So it's really all about balancing these different responsibilities. It might seem hard, but with good planning and discipline to really stick with it, it's definitely possible. So remember, it's really all about give or take. The next point is eliminating distractions. So look, we all know that your phone, Netflix, TikTok, it can be huge distractions, because I mean, for me, I know it's also a distraction as well. But make sure that you set these things aside for like an allotted amount of time. So we're not saying to, you know, not use these things entirely, right? But just make sure that maybe you work without distractions for like 45 minutes, and then you can use your phone for 10 minutes. It's just about having kind of that flexibility. And then the next point is making a project plan to break down larger assignments. So create a project plan means just really to help avoid that last minute panic. So an overwhelming amount of work is a common cause of procrastination, which usually leads to poor time management, right? I know that we're all guilty of procrastination sometimes, but really it's important to kind of have you know, break down these assignments into smaller chunks, each with its own separate due date. So if you have a paper that's due for the entire semester as your final, you want to make sure that you have an outline maybe by this certain date. You want to make sure that you have the body of your essay by this certain date. So it's really all about breaking it down so that in your head, you're not thinking, oh my God, I have to have this big assignment done. So this will encourage you to plan ahead and start working on those assignments way earlier than you should. Study in shorter bursts rather than cram. So for every 30 or 40 minutes of schoolwork, maybe schedule in those 10 to 15-minute breaks to recharge. Trying to work on one thing for too long can actually cause your mind to wander more. I know that that happens to me too. I feel like I'm gonna reward myself, right? And I haven't really done much, so then I'll start to get distracted. So taking those short breaks is a good way to give your brain a chance to recharge so that you'll come more focused. And then really the last point is rewarding yourself when things get done. If you're constantly just doing the things on your to-do list and just so focused on crossing things off, it's easy to burn yourself out, right? And especially with remote learning and, we're constantly behind our computers and on Zoom and stuff. It's really important to celebrate those accomplishments when you have submitted an assignment or when you have something done, large or small, whether that be, some self-care time with yourself or, just anything that kind of makes you recharge. Okay, and I think Cecilia, you're going to talk about these ETS services.
Hi, I'm sorry, my microphone wasn't working. Okay, so these are some ETS services that you can get from your college advisor. So like we said, we recommend you meet with us at least twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring. And then you can always meet with us more than that if you need to. And these are some of the services we can offer. So academic advising, obviously, college exploration and planning, career assessment and advisement. So taking like a career inventory test to see like what kind of careers are fitted with your interests and skills and your strengths, and interpreting those results and finding careers that match with that. Also college application assistance when the time comes in your senior year, and then testing information and resources, keeping up to date on the SAT and the ACT policies, and helping you register for those. Virtual field trips right now, and then study skills and tutoring. We're going to talk a little bit more about an app we offer called Photo Study, and then scholarship assistance. We send out a monthly scholarship list, and then also just helping you apply to those if you need help looking for more scholarships, and then also financial aid assistance when that time comes as well.
So moving on to photo study, I know it was mentioned a lot throughout the presentation, so I'm just going to briefly go over what photo study is. So although most of us are still doing distance learning, we're still continuing to offer great resources, and photo study is one of them. We provide access to this free photo study app, which allows you to get free tutoring for biology, chemistry, physics, trigonometry, geometry, and algebra. So this app allows you to have access to a tutor via text. So you don't need to meet with anyone on Zoom. If you're tired of that, you don't need to do any of it. You just meet with a tutor via text. And it is really, really simple to use. You can simply submit a picture of the problem of your question or your question you are having trouble with, and then a tutor is going to automatically respond to you and walk you through the answer of whatever problem or question you're having a hard time with. So this is definitely a great way to receive help without having to meet again with a person via Zoom. And each session that you complete with an online tutor is saved onto that app. So you can always refer back to it like before an exam or before finals in case you do need to revise any steps for any problem. So all you need to do in order to have access to photo study is contact your ETS advisor. And you're going to share your personal email address with them. So that we can give you a preset account. That means that by us giving you a preset account, you don't have to pay for this app. So after you receive a confirmation email that your name was added to the list, you can go ahead and download the Photo Study app to your phone and then select preset account to sign up and enter the email address that you provided to your ETS advisor. So after you complete these steps, you will then be instantly connected to a live tutor via text message. So again, as part of ETS, you have access to these great free resources that you are not paying a dime for. So it's very, very important that you take advantage of them. And we highly encourage you to use it. I know a lot of the students that have been using it really like it because it's super convenient. Sometimes you can even access a tutor at night. So even if you're working on a math problem, maybe at 8 p.m., you can go ahead and pull up your photo study app, take a picture of whatever problem you're stuck on, and then they'll explain the steps for you. So again, please take advantage of this great opportunity. If you do want more information or you want full access, all you need to do is send a message to your ETS advisor and we can follow up with you.
Okay, perfect. So now I just kind of quickly want to go over our upcoming ETS events. So make sure that you mark our calendars for, the things that we have offered for you all. So the first one is a yoga workshop. So we have some interactive workshops planned for ETS students in the summer, similar to the paint night session that we have done in the past month, where students were able to paint along with an art instructor and learn about the different careers or majors within art. So far we have planned a yoga workshop on June 2nd, where students will be able to participate in a beginner's yoga session with a yoga instructor and learn maybe some stretches and breathing techniques. So more information will be shared about that in our future interactive workshops. So make sure you're following our Instagram. This is usually where we post a lot of this information. And we also have our summer STEM program. So ETS students interested in STEM will be able to participate in our 2-week virtual event via Zoom, where they will learn how to put together a VEX VR5 robot and learn some of the coding involved to build the robot with an instructor. So students who participate in this event in its entirety may be able to receive a $100 stipend at the end of the program, along with our $15 meal card vouchers available for each day of this activity. So this is only open to our 9th and 11th grade students. So please make sure you check out our Instagram again for more information, and you can find the registration form on there as well. And then we also have our Adventures in College Readiness. So this is going to be from July 7th through 27th through July 29th. And this is a 3-day workshop held for current 9th through 10th grade ETS students, where you will get an opportunity to learn more about how to become college bound. So we are going to talk about similar topics that we discussed today, but we're also going to talk about more in detail about careers and majors, and even have a senior panel from former ETS students discuss their kind of high school experiences and what they wish they would have done differently, and even how they kind of went about their college application process. So students will be eligible for a stipend once they complete their entire workshop, and they're going to be held via Zoom as well. So again, more information is on our Instagram pages, so make sure you're following those if you aren't already.
So we're getting ready to finish up our workshop today. I know we've gone through a lot of information, but if there's anyone on the call that is not part of ETS and you just hear us talking about ETS and you're probably wondering what ETS is, like you heard earlier, you already learned about what services we provide. But if you do want to join ETS, we do have a limited spots for the rest of the school year. And all you have to do is pull up your phone right now and just scan this QR code that you see on the screen. And it's going to automatically take you to the application that it's going to look a little bit like the screenshot that we have on the screen as well. If for any reason that QR code is not working, we also have our link to access our application. Like as I said, we do have limited spots. So the faster you apply, the better that is, and the quicker that you can be part of our program. If for any reason you are already in ETS and you heard about all the great upcoming workshops that Diana mentioned, and you're probably wondering, well, I want to participate, but my friends aren't in ETS and I don't want to do it alone, then you can go ahead and snap a picture of this, send it to them, text it to them, do what you have to do and tell them like, hey, let's join ETS so we can participate in the summer programs or summer workshops together. So again, please follow us on Instagram. I know the coordinators went ahead and put the links in the chat. So you can check out our Instagram for more information. Like Diana said, we do put a lot of information up on our Instagram regarding like our upcoming programs and any other relevant resources that you can use as well for school. So again, just make sure you scan this QR code or take a picture of it and send it to a friend that may want to be part of ETS. And then lastly, we did share, like I said, we shared a lot of information throughout this presentation, and we want to make sure that you still have access to the various resources that we did talk about, because all of these resources are going to help you through your high school career. So we went ahead and created a Google Drive folder for you all, where you will be able to find handouts and resources, including the post-secondary options, the A through G chart, the brag sheet, virtual extracurricular activities, which I know Cecilia did mention a little bit about the volunteering online. So you can go ahead and access that on there. We also have summer pre-college prep programs, and we have more information on the summer STEM program, which again, it's going to be happening in the summer. And I also went ahead and discussed photo studies. So if you do want more information on that, we also put a handout in this Google Drive. So I encourage you all to take some time today or whenever you get some free time to review the documents in the folder, because that way you'll have a better understanding on what to expect as you move on to 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade, and so forth. So again, make sure you take some time and review all the documents there because they are very helpful.
Okay, thank you, Jocelyn. So now we're going to have our opportunity drawing. So while we were presenting, our ETS staff was also helping put your names if you wrote your name and your school of attendance. And so we're going to have an opportunity drawing right now. So I don't know if, there we go. Diana, you're sharing your screen.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put in the chat the instructions for the winners before we announce the winners, because I know that then everyone's gonna get excited about the instructions and we wanna make sure that you guys get your prize. So if you are an opportunity drawing winner, you're gonna email us at ets@csulb.edu with your full address. So you have to include your apartment number and your zip code so we can make sure that we send it to the right location. I'm putting that information in the chat. And we have 4 winners, so I'm gonna go ahead and spin the wheel 4 different times. Okay, so Helen Hernandez from Bell High School, you're our first winner. And I didn't even mention what you guys will win, but it's gonna be like a ETS college goodie bag. So make sure that you email us with your name and your full address so you can get your prize. And then the next winner, Cheryl from Carson Complex. Same thing, go ahead and email us. Jordy. Okay, and then our last winner is going to be LV from Bell. Okay, guys, so go ahead and email us again with your name and your full address so that we can go ahead and send you guys your prize. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that, Diana, and congrats to the winners. Make sure that you guys follow those instructions. But I do want to be respectful of your time. So that pretty much concludes what we went over today, but I do want to make some time for any questions that we might have gotten in the chat, or if you kind of want to go ahead and write your questions, please make sure that you do so right now. So I don't know if we got any questions while we were presenting.
No questions, Diana.
Okay, so I think I see someone right now. How do we know who is our advisor? So you have specific advisors assigned depending on your school site. I don't know if the coordinators want to explain a little bit on how they're able to see that.
I believe, Mariah, I see that you're from Linwood High School. So I believe, Noemi, are you Linwood? Or so she?
Yes, I'm Linwood and Stephanie as well. And Stephanie is in charge of your caseload. So yes, you are with
I am in charge of Mariah's caseload.
Awesome. And then we have another question here. Do you guys have links to internships? So I can answer this one. I know that we posted in that Google folder, we have extracurricular activities. And in one of those flyers, we did list specific internships. If not, that's a great question to ask your ETS advisor. Usually sometimes we'll know specifically if they have internships at our school sites, or sometimes we just kind of do our research and see like what's usually offered in the summer program. So make sure that you reach out to your ETS advisor because sometimes they might know what's there around locally. Okay, I see another question here. Let's say you move to Magnet in 11th grade. Will that affect the college application? Like, would it be too late to join? I don't know if anyone else on the panel wants to answer this question.
I can go ahead and answer the question. So I'm assuming the student means moving schools, if I understand that correctly. It wouldn't affect you. You just have to list whatever school you do end up going to. You would have to list whatever school you attended 9th through 11th, and then the school that you're going to attend 11th through 12th. The only way it's going to affect your college application is if your grades do drop for any reason, which we hope not. But if you're doing well and you're keeping up with your grades, you just add. So changing programs. Yeah, so if you're staying in the same school, you should be fine. I'm not too familiar with the changing programs within one campus. I don't know if the coordinators have more information on that.
Yeah, Alejandra, are you at Bell? Yeah, so if you're talking about transitioning to the magnet program, the only way, like Jocelyn said, that it would affect your application is that now you'll have access to more classes, right? So there might be more AP or honors courses that you're available to take. And I know that Bell has certain requirements in terms of like art classes and stuff that you have to take in terms of the magnet. But the colleges will be able to see that. So on your application, it'll show that you were at Bell High School for, let's say 9th and 10th grade. And then junior year, you went to Bell Magnet High School. So it'll be differentiated on your transcripts.
Perfect. We have another question. Can 9th graders take the dual enrollment classes? Does anybody want to take this question?
I can go ahead and take that question. So I think it depends on the school, but I have heard schools that do have dual enrollment for freshman students. And I know if you do meet with your counselor, they can give you more information on that because some classes are limited to just sophomores. But if you're contacting your counselor, they may open it up to you. I know other schools have done that before. So it's just a matter of communicating and advocating for yourself. So if this is something you're interested in and you want to do it ASAP, definitely get in contact with your counselor and they can provide more information about dual enrollment. But it is possible that you can take dual enrollment in 9th grade.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Do we have any other last minute questions? Again, if there's anything that we talked about, but maybe you want to go a little bit more in detail, or maybe you're a little shy to ask your question, go ahead and reach out to your ETS advisor. They can definitely provide that more one-on-one assistance that you're looking for. But if that's all the questions that we have today, thank you everybody for joining us. We hope that this was really informational and helpful for you all. So thank you once again for coming, and we hope to see you soon.